So up to this point, we've mainly been talking about interior photographs, but now we're going to go over how to edit exterior photos. Exterior photos, for a number of reasons, are much simpler and quicker to edit than interiors. And you will edit practically every exterior photo using the same process, regardless of whether the shoot is a standard, HD natural, HD photo, or luxury shoot. So here's the basic workflow. First, choose two of the best ambient exposures, one for the foreground and house, and then another for the sky. Edit both the sky and the foreground ambient exposures in Camera Raw. Depending on the lighting, the time of day, and the weather, you will edit each ambient exposure differently. But here's an approximate list of changes you will make to both the sky and the foreground exposure in Camera Raw. For both files, make sure to do a lens profile correction and a noise reduction by increasing the luminance. Generally, the temperature of the sky exposure should be cooler, while the temperature of the foreground exposure should be warmer. Try to avoid having too much blue color casts on the pavement or sidewalks of foreground shots. In a later tutorial, we'll show you in Camera Raw how to avoid this. Once you've finished the Camera Raw edits, upload the fused file, the foreground exposure, and the sky exposure into Photoshop. Layer 0 will be for the fused exposure, Layer 1 for the foreground, and Layer 2 for the sky. Make sure to properly label your layers and then duplicate them all so you have backups of each before editing. Afterwards, mask your sky layer into the foreground. Using an inverted layer mask and a white paintbrush tool is the best way to do this. If the sky is gray and you will be replacing it, then don't worry about this step, because you'll be putting in an entirely new sky at the end of the editing process. Keep in mind while masking skies, both in daylight exterior photos and twilights, that if you aren't precise with your mask, the sky layer will leak onto the house or the building in the foreground. You can refine your mask by selecting the edge of the building with the polygonal lasso tool and painting the mask in with a harder line. Most likely you won't use your fuse file. It's just good to have it in your Photoshop project as a backup in case the original RAW files don't look good and you need to mask some of it in to balance out the lighting. At this stage, if the client has ordered a sky replacement, you will mask out the existing sky and put in a new one. We will go over how to replace skies in a later tutorial. Finally, open your merge layer in Viveza to do final edits. In Viveza, you will set nodes in the sky and surrounding greenery to increase vibrance, saturation, and structure. You may also place nodes on the house or apartment building so that the structure doesn't get overly saturated. If there are any overly deep shadows in the photo, bring some information out by setting nodes and increasing the exposure and structure. Once again, Viveza is a great tool for making sure that the temperature on all the elements of your exterior photos are true. So make sure your greenery is not too warm or too cool. And same with the house or apartment building. Make sure the temperature is well balanced. Then, in Camera Raw, do a final check on the photo's temperature, and then check the histogram in levels. After you've finished your Viveza edits, you're finished. Here are some examples of well-edited exterior photos.